Guys, welcome back to Embraced by Life. I'm Lisa and I'm sharing with you my early retirement journey for myself, my husband Frank, and our dog Buddy. And our potential, fingers crossed, move to Spain likely in November, and then selling our home in New Jersey in preparation for moving to Spain. So it has been quite a roller coaster ride the past few months. I haven't done a video in quite a few weeks. It's just been a very, very stressful time, and we actually took a couple weeks off. We just got back from a little bit of a break, trying to get a breather and regroup. So today's video will be all about our non-lucrative visa consulate appointment for the Spain consulate in New York City. And I'll do a whole separate video on our house sale and how things are going with that. The good news is, knock on wood, we are finally in contract for our home sale, so things are kind of timeline-wise hopefully piecing together, but we're not going to get overly excited until we actually close and hand over the keys. Anything can happen, so we're trying to be hopeful but realistic at the same time. So let's dive into our non-lucrative visa appointment at the Spanish consulate in New York City. So that was August 21st, and as a reminder, we requested the appointment back in May, and it took that long for the appointment to come to fruition because they were backed up with appointments. So that put a snag in our whole timeline, but we are finally trying to regroup and get to where we need to be. The appointment went relatively well. We did have to go back and bring additional documents, so I'll talk about that as well. Another reason why we didn't do a quick video right after the appointment, because we were scrambling to get more documents pulled together. We had to go back into the city with those, and then we had a whole bunch of viewings for our home, and things just got crazy and hit a breaking point that we just decided to go away for a couple weeks and take a breath. So now we're back, a little bit refreshed, feeling good. And so here's what we did with our appointment. We got up super early. We drove to the Secaucus train station in New Jersey. We took the New Jersey Transit train over to Penn Station, and then from there we just took a taxi to the consulate, which is further uptown. And we got there super early. I think we were there by maybe quarter of or 10 to 8, and our the consulate opens at 8:30, and our appointment was 8:45. So we went in just to make sure we had the right building, and the security guard said there was a cafe that was just opening in behind the elevator bank. So we went back there and we got some coffee, croissant, and just sat, relaxed, got ready for our appointment. So when 8:30 hit, we headed upstairs, up the elevators, along with quite a few other folks, got in line, and they opened the doors promptly at 8:30. They let everybody in who had an appointment first, and we had to give them our name, tell them what we were there for. They checked us off a list. I had on my phone, the appointment confirmation and email, but I would suggest printing it just to have it, because what happens is they take your phones. So they took our phones, they put them into a locker. So everything you have to have in your hands. Luckily, we had everything. I just thought later on we probably should have printed off a copy of the confirmation email for our appointment. But anyway, it didn't matter. So just food for thought there. Then we went through security, checked in again with another person, and then we took a seat. They started calling appointments for the NLV visa around 8:45. So I would imagine the folks who had an 8:30 appointment were the ones that went in front of us. And I was kind of watching to see what she was doing. They were handing over papers, but I couldn't tell in what order. And then she had them take a seat, and she spent about 15-20 minutes looking at everything. She called them back, and she did ask them to, I think, get an additional photo, because there was something wrong perhaps with their photo, and there was something else that she needed, which they were able to just leave. They said they were going to leave and come back with it. So it was very minor for them. And then she called us up, and she was friendly but firm, and she said, "Who's the primary applicant?" And I said, "I am." And so she said, "Okay, give me all of your papers at once." And I was a little frazzled, scrambling, because I had everything in order by document type. So I had Pendulix, I think that's what you call it, the folder which has all the little pockets in it, and I had that with each document type, and thank goodness I had each document that we needed color coded. So mine were like in a pink clip and Frank's were like in a blue or a green clip, so I knew which were mine and his. So when she said just hand me everything of yours all at once, I was like, oh my gosh, she's not even going to ask me in what order, she just wants it all. So I just started grabbing all the pink clipped documents and was just making sure I'm giving her everything. You know, I was a little frazzled, to be honest, but I kept my composure. I started grabbing stuff. I started with the application forms. So there's like 3 forms that you need to give. So I started with that and I handed those over. Then I gave her my money order, and then I gave her my photograph along with the form that required the photo. So I started with that, and then I started giving her all the other documents, including the financial documents, the tax documents, the 9325, which is required for New York City. That's a special thing for New York City, which is proof that you paid your taxes, I guess. All the bank statements, which was all the past 12 months of bank statements, as well as the bank letter, my own attestation I wouldn't work, all the other letters that I had that are in the list in my other video. You can go through that and you'll see everything that we pulled together. But I just started handing it all over. And she was, as I was handing it over, she was pulling through it and throwing stuff back at me. So I'm getting stuff back as I'm giving it to her. And so I just started putting that in a pile. There's really not much room. So I just started setting it in a pile, and I figured we'll organize this later. So I gave her all of my stuff, and then she said, okay, now we need all of Frank's stuff. So then I quickly pulled all of his, handed it to her. And she said, okay, give me 15-20 minutes and I'll take a look at everything and I'll call you back. So as she was looking at everything, my husband and I, we just sat at a table and I reorganized everything she gave back to us. So she gave us back the original FBI background checks for both of us. So she gave us back the originals and the apostilles, which was cool. I noticed she hadn't given us back the original marriage certificate, so I had that in my head. I'm like, I need to ask for that if we get it back or not. She did not want copies of our driver's licenses. She gave those back to me. She only wanted 1 or 2 pages of the passports that were copied. All the other pages she gave back to me. And there were a few other papers that were overkill copies and stuff that she gave back to us, but I erred on the side of caution and just gave her everything that I had. And she knew what she needed and what she didn't, so that was good. Then she called us back, and that's when things got a little bit, scary. She said, so I need you to sign this form, and she handed me a form, and she said, I need you to both sign this form, and it's basically explaining to you that you need to come back with the right financial documentation. And if you don't, your application will be automatically denied. So I looked at it, and thank heavens it was in English. So I started reading it, and it had bullet pointed all the financial document requirements, which is what we did provide. But I have a feeling she probably didn't look at everything in detail that we gave her, and she wanted a little bit more than what we gave her, was my impression. So I did question her a little bit, but I didn't want to push it. So I said to her, well, I did supply the bank letter, because one of the bullet points was a bank certified, like a letter on bank letterhead that says the date your account opened, the balance in your account, the average balance, all those requirements. So I said, well, I did give that bank letter to you. And she's like, okay, well, she looked at it and she said, it only has the average balance for 3 months, not 12. And I said, I know, and that's why I gave a notarized and translated attestation from me stating that's what the bank will provide, and they won't give a 12-month average balance. And she said, well, this is what's required. And she said, is this the only account that you have? And I said, no, we have other accounts with that bank. If you look at the bank statements for the past 12 months, it actually lists all of our other accounts and the balances, but I only got the bank letter for the one account because that's all we needed to satisfy the visa. And she said, well, it's not clear what other accounts you have. And then she started asking questions, which I found out later are standard questions. So she asked why we wanted to move to Spain. If we can't get our visa for Spain, would we go somewhere else? Do we own our home? What are we doing with our home? And I explained to her we're in the process of trying to sell our home. And so then she said, do you have a pension? I said, well, we have a 401k, but we're not of the age to start drawing that yet. So she said, well, if you were to get the visa, what would you do? Would you stay or another year? What would you do? And I said, yeah, we would. If we really enjoy it, we'd probably apply to stay. And that's when she kind of was like, well, I need to see more financial means if your intention might be longer term to stay, which was interesting because that's not what's required for year one. That's year 2 and 3. You have to show 2 years worth of finances. So she said, just come back with what I've given you here, review it, come back with it. And I said, okay. I didn't argue with her. I was like, okay. So we left, and I said to Frank, I think what we'll do is get another bank letter and get it for all of the accounts that matches the bank statements that we've provided, so it's very clear of what we have within that bank for different accounts. And it was all there anyway, so it was just that we only gave a specific bank letter for the one joint account because that's all we really needed to satisfy. But because she wanted to see that wasn't kind of all we had, that we probably could sustain ourselves another year or two if needed. So honestly, I think she was trying to do us a favor because she said she doesn't make the decisions. It all gets sent to Spain and they either approve or deny. So I think there's Buddy. Say hi, Bud. So I think that's why she, said just get this and come back. And she said we have 10 days to get it and come back. So, and I tried again really hard to see if we could get a bank letter with the average balance for 12 months. I called the bank and they said they could try to get it for us, but they weren't able to. And so what I did was I got a new bank letter similar to what we provided, but I had it for all of our accounts. Again, still average balance for 3 months. I did a whole new attestation letter that was a little bit, hopefully more clear. It was just reworded a little bit and had it notarized and then had everything translated again. And then we went in a week later and dropped everything off. So we are still waiting to hear back. We're hopeful, but there's no guarantee. So, but he's doing the zoomies here. You can hear him zooming around. So we'll see. But, that added to the level of stress along with trying to get into a contract for our house. And so we just decided to take a couple weeks off, and we left for a couple weeks and just regrouped, which I think is exactly what we needed. And so we've got at least another week or two, maybe up to 4 weeks before we'll hear back. There are some folks who had appointments the week of August 14th, and they're just hearing back. But I believe it depends on which region you're applying because they send all the paperwork to the region or province of which you're planning to move. So it's hard to say. It may take longer for it to come back. But crossing our fingers, if we can actually hear back within the next 2 to 3 weeks, that would be awesome, because we've got to decide what we're doing with a lot of our stuff. If we get our visas, we're not going to take everything with us, and we'll start offloading some major pieces of furniture and things like that. If we don't get the visas, then it's not meant to be, and we'll have to probably find temporary housing and then start looking for a new home to purchase, and then we'll need to keep our stuff with us. So yeah, it's gonna be, again, a little bit stressful over the next 4 weeks, waiting to see whether we get our visas and if we're able to move or not. But yeah, I have no idea how it's all going to come together. We still need to purchase flights. If we do get our visas approved, we got to get flights for ourselves plus Buddy. He's a very big dog. He's like he's 90 pounds. So that's going to be a whole nother video on how that happens. I'm not putting the cart before the horse. I've got some options there that I'm thinking through, but we just need to, yeah, hope that we get our visas first. I forgot to mention, she did ask a lot of questions about our age and if we retired, and I said we had retired already. So, but yeah, if you've got questions, throw them in the comments. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. I'm happy to do another video. I'll be sure to update you guys as soon as we do hear back on our visas. I am crossing our fingers that this is going to work out. Conscious that we didn't supply everything exactly as they wanted. We don't have that average 12-month balance from the bank, but I gave it to them based on the statements. And I did it for all the accounts, not just the one that they need. So, yeah, that's where we're at. It's been absolutely crazy and hectic, but I wanted to give you all an update. So I'll do a separate video, like I said, maybe tomorrow on our home sale and the craziness there. I'm excited that we got some buyers, and I absolutely love them so far. I think they're going to be great in this home, and it makes me feel very blessed to be leaving our home in good hands is how I feel. So yeah, again, very stressful, but we feel very blessed, and these are good problems to have. Things could be so much worse. Yeah, you just take life as it comes and embrace it. So hope you're all doing well. Have a fabulous day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.